Good evening. My name is Maximus Payne. Tonight we're going to be doing a brief tutorial of War in the East, done to the Danube and lost battles. There we go. We're going to be picking the Road to Minsk campaign. It's only 3 turns, and as such, it should be the easiest to do. Alright, so of course on the left you have the Germans, and on the right in the brown you have the Soviet Union. I am playing the Germans, as you can see. Alright, so let's get started. First is unit identification. The little figure eights are air bases. You can right click and see what they have. And some ground anti-air elements. And down here we have HE-111s. Those are bomber and ground attack aircraft. You have HQs. Those stands for headquarters, of course. One thing to note is the star, or X's above, the 4 is like a major, and 3, let's see if we can find another one, there's another major. They're like the head unit for that specific color. You'll see dark blue, gray, with blue. This one is a minor, so on and so forth for the rest. Okay, so the X's with the 2 dots, these are motorized units. The X's are the infantry units. See over here, infantry division. Well, let's see what else we got. That is signifying that the railroad is in repair right now. And those are detachment units, basically off of these headquarters. Yep. See, there you go. The little one that looks like a tank is, you guessed it, a tank. Let's see what we got here. Panzer 1C, 2C, 38C, Panzer 3H. What's that? Yeah, I remember that. Okay, moving on. Let's see what we got here. Alright, up at the top we have the toggle enemy hexes on and off. The fortifications on and off, so that'll just display the fortification level of the terrain. So like units were supposedly there before and built up fortifications. If you have a unit in that square, it I believe it goes 1 to 5, so the 5 are the best, 1s are the worst, and you can build that up to make your defenses stronger. This right here is the rail damage info. As you see here, everything's good. If there were partisans back here, they can damage your railroad lines, so you gotta like go back there, catch the partisans, and repair. That's not the case at this time. Unit modes on and off, don't mess with those. Don't really need that. This one right here. So create fortified unit. Basically, in any of these, you can create a fortified unit. Let's see if there are any actually in existence presently. It doesn't quite look like it. They're usually on the front, but not always. Oh, well, there's one on the enemy team. Okay, so see, that's a little rectangle with the 4 little squares in the corner. These are specific, like, dug-in units that are tactically or strategically placed to prevent enemies from taking it over. Like this one right here is protecting the railhead. That's just one example. And using that, we'll utilize points, which are displayed right here. So that 12, we'll say, do you want to place one for 4 admin points? You could say yes, you could say no, and it will subtract the total from that amount. That's pretty simple. Okay, over here, we have these units, and I'm like, oh, maybe I want to move these to the front. So you click this guy right here, which is rail mode, and then you click on this, and it highlights every grid that they can go to, and then you just right click, boom, to the front. On train, now it's off train. Okay, so that's not too bad. These ones you can conduct recon, like for your area units here. Let's see what we got. Boom. BF-110s, those are not recon units. Actually, I think those are recons. The 110Cs. Fighter bomber, I am mistaken. Anyways, basically, if you got any recon units, you can take aerial photography back here, and let's try it. So we'll go. All right, you hear the little plane flying overhead and taking pictures. And it's revealing units as appropriate. Nothing over that way. Okay. Over here you got bomb unit. I've never found this to be too effective, but you could do it if you were inclined. Bomb airfield. Again, I've tried it. Not very effective in my opinion. Bomb city. So say these big cities like Minsk, for example, they all have a certain amount of factories or what have you in them. Let's say Warsaw, for example. Let's see. Don't quite remember how to do it. Excuse me, but you can figure out what is being produced in these cities. Like this one will produce machine guns and tanks. This one might produce aircraft. So you can bomb the heck out of these things and maybe slow their production of aircraft or their production of infantry training and stuff like that. Let's see, air transport mode. I don't see any paratrooper guys right now, but you can potentially drop forces behind enemy lines and obstruct them or whatever. They're typically really small units, so you have to be pretty know what you're doing and with intent. Looking at the Soviet side here, you see they have a couple different units that we don't have. So for example, this is a Panzer SS unit, I believe. Yep, SS Motor Division, which is the Mont Div. Boom. In here they have like artillery and stuff like that. But the Soviet side, you'll see here this unit, they don't have it in the division. They have separate units for that. So this unit, when it's placed adjacent, will automatically bombard. Say you attack this square and you got the artillery here, it will defend that position or the adjacent squares. That's what that's used for. Now, looking at your units here, you will notice a couple of different things. There's a number on the left and a number on the right. Okay. So the number on the left is the strength of the unit, 8. Number on the right is the movement, 16 and 50. All right. So this unit can move 50 movement points away, which is, keep in mind that it's not dictated by 50 squares, okay? It is dictated by the terrain. So crossing this river might cost 20, and then each one of these might cost 1. So you got to keep that in mind if you want your units to move appropriately. Having mixed units here, see these two have 16. This one has 50 and that one has 16. So if you move these together, you can only move them as far as the lowest unit. So 16 is the farthest. But if you select deselect the one, you can move it in independently. So that's a big problem. You gotta move your units together. You never want to use your headquarters units in combat. In fact, if this unit is isolated like this one right here and an enemy gets into an adjacent square without a protecting unit on top of it, it will be displaced. So just keep that in mind. Here we go. So supply is very important. This unit has to be within 5 squares of its subordinate units in order to provide it with enough supplies to keep up with combat. So for example, this unit is attached to it but it's out of range, and that is why it has a red square around it. Now if you notice, when you have this selected, it has a unit, see 3 stars or 3 X's, 4 X's. So this one is the parent unit of that one, and that's why that one has the orange around it. So basically this headquarters unit gives that headquarters unit supplies, and then that unit supplies its subordinate units with ammo, equipment, personnel, etc. So it's basically a very large strategic component to the movement of your headquarters. So you always want to supply your units. They'll fight better. They'll defend uh, enemy forces and stuff like that because they have the supplies that they need. One thing I will like to note, and I do this all the time, is that sometimes you suck and you can't keep your headquarters unit within range of the selected unit. Say like this guy right here. You're like, oh man, I really wouldn't mind giving him some food right now. So you got this button right here, which is auto assign unit to the nearest applicable HQ. So you can actually change the headquarters so it's no longer feeding that unit. He is getting his stuff from right there. So you can change that. It does cost a strategic point, but that's okay. And that's basically it in terms of units. There was something else, but I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, okay, security units. So security units are a very special kind of unit. They don't do much attack, but they do holding maneuvers very well. So say this is a city, that's a city. All these little dots are little cities. And basically, when you have it on a city, they defend for 2 times their value. So 7,598 people. It'll be like 16K people or whatever the number is. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So let's talk about the units. All right. So 16,689 people, 201 artillery pieces, and 2 armored units. Let's see what they got. So this is basically by right-clicking on the square here, you can open it and look at what they have. So they got infantry units, and these go right down to squad level. So you click on it, you can see their need, how many people they have. 5 people. Size 1, load 4 fuel, blah 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 blah. If you were inclined, you could do the math and see what's going to happen in terms of what they need for supply and stuff like that. You can change their supply details. Okay, so that'll come later in phases, possibly not on this run. And then you can change the size later down the line. Possibly, it depends on the campaign. But say you have another unit that's similar, or if these units get weakened, you can merge it into another unit to make a unit stronger or comparable to what I would have right now. So if say 90% of these people died and I have another infantry unit, I can merge it to try and recoup some of the strength or strengthen them up to try and fight off the enemy, the Ivan. Up here you have weather zones, on and off. I don't really see that working on this map because it's kind of small. Info screens, you have, what is that, order of battle. Okay, this is just like the turns that are going to be happening. After I take my turn, it'll update. Well, actually, I guess it won't need to on this one. But you get the idea. And you have, what's this one? Losses. Okay, after every turn, it's going to populate everything that happens. So you have ground losses, air losses, destroyed unit, which nothing has happened yet. So there's nothing to really. Oh, I did lose a fighter bomber on that scouting, huh? No, the Soviets lost it. Okay, so our scout killed one of their fighter bombers. Pretty nice. And then you'll be able to check all the turns and stuff like that. Let's see what else we got. Production screen. This is what I was talking about. Basically, it's a production schedule, so you know how much is producing. So we're adding 4, adding 8, 3, 3, etc. Let's see what we got. Victory screen. That's just showing like victory locations and stuff like that. So you get a certain amount of points for taking over different locations. Air doctrines, I don't actually know what this is yet. If anyone could fill me in on this, I'd appreciate it, or read them. I might have to read the manual, but this one right here is the one that I like to pay attention to. So on turn 3, we're going to be losing this unit, okay? On longer campaigns, it'll have like, say you get a new Panzer unit, or, you know, doctrine changes are reflect what happened in history. So when they change it from divisions to these smaller divisions of like 2,500 people, they'll downsize and reflect what happened in real life. Commander screen, I've never really dealt with this, but what it says you can do is you can assign these individuals to specific units. So like, say like Hans Guderian, let's see if he's in here. Yep, there he is right there, Hans Guderian. So he's in the 2nd Panzer Group, which is what he was in real life. But if you wanted to change it to a different unit, it could potentially impact the effectiveness of your unit, because he was a really good leader, right? So put him in whatever, let's say 10th Panzer, if he was in charge of this headquarters or whatever. And on the attack, they might be more effective than somebody else. I'm actually going to have to use that. And let's see, event log, nothing's happened yet, so there you go. On the larger maps, you can do naval transport and amphibious transport modes. I'm not super familiar with it, but basically you can just, so you got like a port over here, I know you can like go from this port and land on any of this land over here, but that'll be for another different video. Alright, so let's do some combat and see what we can do. Alright, first things first, I generally don't move my headquarters with my units, so I'm going to move him off. And then you can attack single, which is selecting, left click, and then right clicking. Or if you want to do a more deliberate attack, say hold left shift, click, 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 or just hover over it and it selects it. And then holding shift, I can right click and it will attack with all 3 at the same time. Now this is a battle report. So I attacked with 53,000 men against their 1,300 or 13,000 defending, and they took mass casualties. So we'll do another one similar. These are the odds down here, 999 to 1, and now that unit is routed. I wish that stuck up longer, but it is a setting, so excuse me, you can change it. Oh, one thing you notice here is down in the bottom, if you hover over a unit, it does display what they got. So they got 332 grenadiers, mortarmen, cavalry. They actually have mounted cavalry here on horses, some field guns, and some infantry squads. That's pretty sweet, huh? Alright, so I'm going to take these guys, and oh, you see that? I couldn't attack because I had this dude selected and it's not an adjacent. So right there, right click. Alright, 339, 653 killed, or 853 killed, sorry, to my 349. That's a pretty good one. So I'm going to do that and move in. Try these guys, attack there. 25 to 1, move them in. Now I move my tanks up, right? So, boom, 2.41 to 1. Not that great, but this unit gets really good movement squares, so I'll move him in. And now I'm going to hit that guy. Oh, man, he just got his bag smoked. 16.4 to 1. That's what's up. Alright, so we're making pretty good progress. I might be able to cut this group off. So let's see if we can do something similar to that here. Boom. What else we got? The thing you got to be cognizant of is overextending your lines. So this guy can't move that far. What? was at. Alright, so yeah, that's gonna be nice. So get that. I'm gonna have to start moving some units up. Let's see, I'm gonna jump him. And then for this one, let's break into here. See that displace their headquarters unit? That's very good to be doing. So, hey. Alright. Alright, so I'm basically doing a flanking maneuver. No, we don't really like those in this day and age, but it is what it is. Now, one thing you got to be careful of is overextending. I believe I've already mentioned it, but these guys are way overextended, right? So I need to get my headquarters units up there because they're not going to have all the fuel and the ammo and everything that they need to do this war. So I'm going to try and bust some of these groups out. 1.13 to 1. That's not great. 81,000 versus 28. Whew. I'll have to wait for another turn to get that one. Put this guy up to potentially attack. Let me see if I can actually cut them off. Oh, okay. I missed this earlier. See the little slasher? That is a cavalry unit. You know, literal horses. They've got horses, cavalry squad. So, boom, boom, boom. Men, speed, size, fuel. I like to use these a lot when supplies are low because they can move far ahead without the requirement of having fuel. So they have their use and they're both on both sides of the fence here. So just be cognizant of that. And yeah, I guess that's what I'm gonna leave off with. I hope this was informational and you know, it helps you get your foot into the game. If you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be pressing F12 and ending my turn.